Hi. Welcome back to Black Contributors to a Whitewashed World again. Now, the last time I was talking to you, I was telling you about Alexander Dumas, the great writer of the 19th century. But it was his son, actually, also an Alexander, who was considered the foremost dramatist of that century. Now, it was said of him that he brought realism to the stage and changed the course of French theater, turning it from empty romance and oratory to life and to seriousness, thought, and to purpose. Now, his early youth was marred by a great sorrow, which, acting upon his extremely sensitive nature, I think did more than anything else to make him take up the theme in which he was a master. He was to learn later that when life has a great destiny for us, it sometimes begins by hurting us deeply. His mother was a humble dressmaker by the name of Marie Labbé, and at the time of his birth, his father was barely out of his teens and only earning $5 a week. He was sent to a boarding school where his shy nature was, he was taunted about his being a Negro. Now, his father used to take him everywhere, into the salons where the elite used to hang out, and into the dens of the underworld. He would travel with his father to Russia, Germany, Spain, Italy, and North Africa. And how he came to be a writer had a lot to do with this sort of life that his father had started him on. He came to love the bohemian life and this wild style of living, and he continued it into his manhood. Then one morning he woke up to find himself penniless, homeless, and $10,000 in debt. In his later years, as he reflected on this, he would tell his friends, "You know, I found myself sitting sadly on a cane-seated chair before a white wooden table in a miserably furnished room of the hotel where I had taken refuge. I had been driven out of my elegant apartment with everything seized and sold. I gave myself up to a bit of reflection, and mechanically I opened the drawer of the table. Inside were some stamped papers and a pad of writing paper, evidently forgotten there by the last occupant. So I took out the pad, and as I had no occupation and didn't know what else to do, I decided to become an author and started to write. This proved to be a frustrating experience for him, and he kept throwing away manuscripts after manuscript until he finally made up his mind to never write another word. Fortunately for us, he unmade his mind and was able to knock out a book of poems, which unfortunately um, didn't take too well. Um, but nowadays, that original work of Alexander Dumas, the son, commands a tremendous price, even for copies of it, as there weren't that many printed. Now, his next work, The Sins of His Youth, had much more luck. It dealt with the underworld of Paris, of which his father had educated him very well. It was then followed by Camille, which was considered his masterpiece. Now, as a novel, as it was originally published, it had some good success. But when he converted it into a play, which later became his most successful form, his difficulties seemed to never end. He got the idea of converting it into a play while he was in Marseille, penniless and in bad need of good money. Welcome to the Writers Club, Alexander. He knocked out the first three acts in one sitting and then finished the rest of it in 5 days. A genetic legacy, no doubt, from his father. After a long and hard ordeal, he finally found a producer who was willing to give it a run, but by the time it was ready to be shown, the census barred it, and I thought America used to be bad. Well, he finally got it into another theater, but then the leading lady died. More about this later.